Now, I've been a fan of Pokemon since Generation 1. In fact, it's one of my favorite video game franchises alongside Mario, Zelda, Halo, and Metroid. However, I'm not gonna lie, all the games that came out after Generation 5 have either been mediocre or subpar. And this mainly started with X and Y having a broken EXP share, the Generation 1 starters handed out to you with the Mega Stones like candy, not to mention you also get a free Mega Lucario. Plus, the later gym leaders, as well as all the Elite Four members, don't have a full team of 6 Pokemon, which made battling them a lot easier. And it also doesn't help the fact that the story was bland and boring. The rivals were terrible, not to mention there was little to no post-game. In fact, the only good thing that came out of Gen 6 was Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, despite the fact that they didn't bring back the Battle Frontier. Now, Sun and Moon was a step in the right direction due to the fact that it got rid of the gym format, in favor of the Island Challenge, which kinda reminded me of the Orange Islands from the anime. Not to mention it had a better story and more memorable characters such as Lily, Hal, and Gladion. Plus, it was the first mainline Pokemon game to have the main villain be a female. However, Sun and Moon weren't perfect, as they had some problems of their own, such as the fact that it had too many tutorial sections, and there were too many non-skippable cutscenes. And when Sword and Shield was announced, I was actually pretty excited for it, because this was the first mainline Pokemon game that was for a console. And Nintendo's 2 other franchises, Mario and Zelda, had games on the Switch that could prove the console's capabilities. So it was no-brainer that I was excited for Pokemon Sword and Shield. However, when that E3 demonstration came out of them showing the Sword and Shield gameplay, they basically said that certain Pokemon weren't going to be transferred to the new Pokemon game. And a lot of people, including myself, were a little bit mad about that. However, Game Freak's reason for this was that they were trying to make new animation and models from the ground up. However, it later turned out that most of the models from Sword and Shield were actually reused models from Sun and Moon. Not to mention, most of the animations from Sword and Shield look no different than the ones from Sun and Moon. And it also doesn't help that Pokemon Battle Revolution, a Wii game mind you, has better battle animations than a Switch game, a console that's way more powerful than the Wii. And after Sword and Shield came out, a lot of people, including myself, had problems with the game, mainly due to the non-existent difficulty with the mandatory EXP share that you can't turn off. There's little to no exploration in Sword and Shield. The previous games encourage you to explore certain areas, to find items, as well as rare Pokemon. It also doesn't help that there's no voice acting in the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the main player character should talk, I'm saying that some of the other characters could talk, similar to what Breath of the Wild did with its characters. However, it seemed like Pokemon Sword and Shield were rushed compared to Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. And the main reason for this is because Game Freak wants to release the games to tie in with the anime, and the card games, as well as the other types of merchandise that come out with Pokemon. And to be honest, it's pretty much working for Game Freak, because look at the sales of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Despite the fact that the games were rushed, they sold 8 million copies worldwide, beating out Super Smash Bros., one of the highest selling Switch games. In fact, it's gotten to the point where Pokemon has pretty much become the Call of Duty of Nintendo, meaning it's become an annual franchise, to where they can put little to no effort in their games, yet they're still gonna sell because they have a loyal fan base behind them. Similar to not just Call of Duty, but also Assassin's Creed. But the difference is Assassin's Creed has more development teams working on their games, while Game Freak does not. Which is why Game Freak should stop with the yearly releases, and instead, they should work on one pair of games while letting other companies handle the intellectual property. After all, it worked for Generation 4, and back during Gen 4, we had so many great spin-off titles such as the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games and the Pokemon Ranger games, while at the same time, we had more high-quality mainline games in the form of Pokemon Platinum and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. And another thing that they can do is to take notes from what Namco Bandai does with Digimon, to where they listen to fan feedback as well as taking fan ideas. They've even held contests for fans to submit their own original Digimon ideas. So Nintendo and Game Freak should do that instead of dumbing down their mainline games and trying to appeal to the people who grew up with just red and blue. And another thing that they should do is to add a difficulty option, because kids aren't the only ones who play Pokemon. Teenagers and adults also play it. And they can have a more challenging game by not just having gyms that involve certain type matchups, but they can have gyms that specializes in different things, such as one gym that knows how to utilize double battles, one gym that utilizes status conditions, and one gym that utilizes Pokemon having certain held items that aren't berries. This could keep the traditional battle system, but at the same time challenging new players as well as veteran players at the same time. And they actually have the resources to actually do all this, considering the fact that Pokemon is one of the highest grossing media franchises in the world. Yes, it's even bigger than Disney. However, I know they won't do this because, to be honest, they're still doing well with the sales of the games. The show is still popular to this day, and they have a loyal fan base that will buy anything that they put out, no matter how bad it is. And it also doesn't help that in the Pokemon community, there are certain YouTubers that like to defend the actions of Game Freak, while at the same time calling fans who criticize Game Freak not true Pokemon fans. Verlicify. Verlicify. Wow, that was a bad cough. But hey, it is what it is.